Speaking of intuition, you claim to have a strong connection with it. How do you tell the difference between that and the constant chatter and uncertainty of mind? Again, people may say that listening to a wise old voice in the back of your head is another sign of insanity.
That wise old voice in the back of our heads is not insanity or even intuition for that matter. It is conscience. Although conscience and intuition are both higher functions of consciousness, there is a difference between both. And mind chatter is totally different again. Mind chatter is of our personal mind and identity, ego, the lower self. Conscience and intuition are of the higher self. Conscience and intuition are God's way of talking to us. As I like to put it, conscience and intuition are the agents of consciousness. Let me put it this way. We all know when we tell a lie. Well, that is conscience pricking our mind. And that is not something that is taught to us. Yes, we are taught values and how we should conduct ourselves to certain customs, but conscience is a higher faculty of consciousness that is always there and present, no matter what our values or customs. And when we don't pay attention to its heed, that is when we usually end up in trouble. We all have conscience imposing on us, but just how much attention we pay to it and keep in line with it is another thing entirely. Ego and pride usually dominates and ignores its keeping, and sadly, modern society only reflects that. Most of us do not pay attention to conscience and intuition anymore, because we rely so much on external information and stimulus to drill into us what is acceptable and fashionable. And given the quality of commercial television these days, that advice and influence is rather tragic. When it comes to intuition, again, most of us hardly have any real resort to it, because we rely on others to tell us what is supposedly right and so. Just as conscience is a higher faculty of consciousness, so too is intuition. But most of the time, our surface mind, that mind chatter of ego, blinds us from allowing us to connect with it. Personal mind is always questioning reality. That is the very nature of ego and ignorance. Intuition, on the other hand, provides the answers. While conscience tells us what we should do, intuition provides us with the answers. When you refine the mind, you can subjectively receive immediate knowing about something or someone. Although the mind can interpret that as an idea or thought, intuition's impact upon the mind is immediate and impersonal, and very much leaves personal mind in awe for what it has received. When we are in the right frame of mind, in contemplation, intuition provides the answers rather bluntly, and in most cases too overwhelming for our ego, personal mind to grasp or fully understand and appreciate. Thus is the embarrassment and humiliation of ego when corrected. This is what happens when we receive insight or revelation. A profound realization can happen in a split second, and the mind is forever after trying to capture and define that in some relative literal way. For me now, when I'm considering the nature of something that is rather hard to understand and define in relative terms, and I want to know the answer to it, I'll play around with the idea in my head very loosely. But eventually, when I'm ready, and this may be days or even weeks later, intuition will eventually provide me with the answer. When it comes to things of the immediate nature before me in the moment, receiving intuition about everyday things has become so common for me that it happens regularly every day. I'll give you some examples of intuition in that respect. A few months ago, I was working away at my job at Officeworks DY, doing my usual checkout serving at the cash register there. And the next customer to approach me was this mature-aged woman, very cool and composed, somewhat dignified, refined and proud-looking. And after a second of reading her disposition, I was inclined to ask. So I said to her, "Do you know Anne Devison?" Then looking at me, she said, "Yes, I do. How did you know that?" So I said to her very politely, "I could tell from your disposition." And she just smiled at me in return. I told her that I knew Anne, and she went on to tell me that she used to work with Anne at the ABC. Another example was working away at work when this somewhat cool, composed, middle-aged man, very trendy, casual, relaxed, and with it, approached me at the counter. Smiling at him, I said to him in a friendly manner, "You look like a director." And he said, "Actually, I'm a producer." After a friendly chat, his mobile rang, and as he was attending to the call, his young daughter asked me, "How could you tell that?" So I said to her, "He's just got that look about him." and we both had a little laugh. As it turned out, that producer was Rocky Bester, and he used to work with my old friend John Politzer at Becker. Now, does that sound like someone with mental illness to you?
No.
To me, that sounds like someone with immediate refined intuition. Nor was it guessing, and nor do I do it to every second customer I come across. It's like when I saw my girlfriend for the first time. I read her disposition instantly, the very moment I laid eyes on her, and I could tell straight away she was a good person and had a kind heart. That was 7 years ago, and she is still my best friend, and is shown to be that very same person I discerned in her for the first time those 7 years ago.
So you have the ability to accurately read people's disposition?
Yes.
So what sort of a person am I then?
That's my privilege only, and with respect to you, I'd rather not speak of your disposition directly in front of you on national television.
Okay. When it comes to thoughts and ideas about how we should conduct ourselves, how do you tell if they come from intuition or from personal mind, ego?
You tell a difference in their nature. If your thoughts and ideas are stemmed towards equality and unity, then they are founded in intuition and conscience of the higher self. If your thoughts and ideas are stemmed towards prejudice and separation, then they are a result of personal mind, ego, the lower self. As the saying goes, united we stand, divided we fall.
So can you give us a bit of insight how to connect and receive intuition?
It is far too hard to explain or put into words its immediate nature, but from my own experience, the strength of connection with intuition is according to how refined and clear personal mind is, how in tune it is with the higher self. It comes with self-development and having an ethical and just state of mind. Intuition will never fall upon a mind that is corrupt or unjust. Its nature cannot land in such a state that does not complement or understand it. The mystics tell us that God will only fall upon a mind that is quiet and calm. This is what meditation ultimately aims for, connecting with the Creator. Intuition is my way of connecting with God.